back for round 2 on the Loadmaster press here. So let's just jump right into this and get some more stuff set up here so we can get this thing running. Sooner the better. So now we need to get the primer set in here before we put the shell plate and stuff on. So let's do that. So you've got this primer plunger here, and this is basically the ram that seats the primer. And you'll notice there's sort of an off-center cut here, and in the top side here there's a hole. So your spring is going to go down in that hole like so. And now we're going to take just a little bit of this Tetragun grease here and put just a little bit in here like so. Not a lot. Now let's pop this down inside here. Now the spring is going to face the back of the press. So we'll just drop that in here on top of the ram and make sure that is centered and moving up and down like it should. Just like so. Now we're going to take the priming tool. This is the small primer. The large pistol or the large rifle primer is red. So now it's the most important thing. It's probably almost impossible to see in here, but up inside there's actually a little dimple that sticks out that centers over the spring. You really want to pay attention to this and drop it straight down over the top of that, and it should just drop right in nice and easy, just like so. If you crinkle that spring up or get it not seated properly in there, if you bend that spring at all, you're going to have some real serious priming problems. So now we're going to take a Q-tip here, put a little Tetragun on there, and we're going to take our shell plate, and just around these outside edges here of the indexing portion of the plate, we're going to just wipe a little bit of grease on here. That just helps with the smooth operation. Also, a little bit on the inside here and down here around the shaft, just a little bit. Get some grease on there, just like so. Now we'll just drop their shell plate in here, and it should spin nice and free with no resistance. That's great. Now we have our case ejector. You'll notice this little finger right here is bent away just ever so slightly. So the easiest thing to do is take that bend and face it down, because it's going to grab these indexing holes. So pop that in there, line up your indexing rod or this plate with this little rib right here, and push your shell plate backwards until it grabs the hole and stops. That's where you want to keep it. Take your lock nut here, make sure the O-ring is either in the lock nut or down over the shaft, and we'll just hold it with one finger, spin this down, and just a very, very mild amount of pressure. You're going to feel that O-ring start to squish just a little bit. That's all you need. And this thing should spin freely, and it should be clicking every time that little finger back here drops into one of those holes as part of the indexing that stops it from going backwards. Okay, that part's done. Now, let's just try something here. Let's get a different camera angle. This is your indexing rod here. Now, you have the shoe and the rod. We're going to lube the rod up, put a little also on the end here, and then we're going to put just a little bit on the back side of the shoe. So it's going to be at this angle here, a little here and a little here. So let's do that. It doesn't take a lot. The Tetragun stuff goes a long ways, and it lasts quite a while, so just a little bit on that shaft, the indexing shaft, and just a touch on the end. Put a little on the shoe here, a little bit underneath this cutout here, right in here. That's all you need. Now you'll notice that there's actually a square hole right up inside here. So this is going to just slide up into this hole, and that will push in on the shell plate. It'll stop there. So we should be in full operation here with the indexing portion. And we are. That is moving nice. It's nice and smooth. So we're good with that. Let's do some more stuff. So we've got our little shoes here, 4 shoes and 4 screws. And remember, the washers on these screws are sort of concaved, and you want the high side of the center on the screw head. So what we're going to do is put these in the press, run a case through it and get these adjusted here. So let's do that here real quick and take a look down inside here. And see if I can do this without tipping the camera over. So what you want to do here is make sure that all your little shoes are pushed in as far as they'll go. What we're going to do is we're going to take a 223 case and pop that in there, and we're just going to run this around. And what that's going to do as it runs around is just move these shoes into the position that they need to be in. Okay, now we can just come back around here and just snug these down. Now that we know that they're right where we want them. I think I got a long enough screwdriver. Okay, double check everything real quick. Case back in, goes around. Also making sure that the primer is actuating properly. Nothing's hanging up here. And kicks the case out. Again, I'm going to run it one more time just to watch the action here. As this comes around, I want to see this thing push my primer piece back out of the way, and it does that perfectly. Nice and smooth, and out with the case. There we go. On to the next step. So in the Loadmaster, there's 5 stations. And right over here, on the left-hand side of the press, there is this indexing screw. You'll notice here, on this piece, you've got these larger cutouts amongst the lock-in sort of gears. So what we're going to do is we'll just get that started real quick, and we'll drop this in, index that around to where it's in one of those spots, snug that up. Doesn't have to be tight, just snugged up, nice and solid. We're going to look down through here and make, just to verify that everything lines up in accordance with the shell plate, and of course it does. So, always good idea just to continue to function test it as you continue to put this together and assemble it, so no issues. Not that that's interfering with anything, but it's always good to check. So now we can put our dies in here. Now, I'm not going to go through the specific die setup on this. What I'd like you to do is just follow the instruction manual, whether it be Lee dies or Redding or whoever you're using. I'm going to set this up with Lee dies. So we'll put these in here real quick, and we'll come back and show you what we put in each location. So let's do that. Okay, so I got the die set up based on, oh wait for it, the instruction manual. So just, everybody's a little bit different. So since I'm using every one of these is a Lee die, just follow the instructions from Lee. When you start dealing with dies like this, they're a little bit, the instructions aren't the same. So just, just follow the instructions, no big deal. So, okay, here we go. Station number 1. This is the full-length sizing die. Station number 2 is actually a crimp die. However, I do not have this set up to crimp at all. It's quite loose, but all I want to do is have it set up so that when a case is going up inside, all it's doing is centering it so that primer can be perfectly centered and go up in here and not cause any problems. That's very, very important on this particular machine. You can also use another full-length die and just take the rod out. It'll work too. I would recommend backing it off a little bit because you don't want to be squishing that neck down, but you still want it centered. So whichever works for you. Powder through die, and we're going to get this set up here in the next video. And obviously the bullet seating die, and then another crimp die, and the crimp die, this one here is set up to crimp. So I'm going to take just a touch of unique case lube up this fine little case here. We're going to test this, and it should run flawlessly. And there goes the sizing up into the priming station, into powder through. It's moving that okay. Again, that's not adjusted. Into the bullet seating die, and then the final is into the crimp die, and right on out into my tray. So, primer's gone. The neck has definitely been squished down. Of course, there's no bullet in there, so I will have to run that back through again. Just because I got to open that back up to accept the bullet now. So that's good. I'm very happy with that. Now that we have that on there, I want to install this. And this is probably one of the most important pieces that Lee came up with. And that's going to go right here in these 2 screw holes. And this is the explosion shield. Lee recommends Remington and CCI primers only. And there's a good reason for that, because if you don't, you could blow them all up. And you can do some research on the Lee website and get a little bit more information. So I typically run mostly CCI primers. Now, I'm not saying I don't run some other primers. I do run some Remingtons, but I've had really good luck with CCI primers over the years. And if it's working, no reason to fix it. So, but in the event that a primer were to detonate in this machine, which, by the way, I've had happen twice. Luckily, it did not set off the entire chain of events with 100 primers, and I was using Winchester primers. So that's on me. That was several years ago, and it's my own fault. But it is very important, and it's very true. I have not, knock on wood, had a Remington or a CCI ever detonate on me. If it were to ignite and blow several, at least this would deflect it away from you. Now, obviously, anything behind this where that explosion will go, you don't want to have, store all your powder. Ooh, we interrupt this program to talk about powder. There's some different powder. I had a viewer ask me about, all he ever sees is, he or she ever sees is the long shot and the hybrid up here. And those are kind of my go-to powders for what I'm currently shooting. But I also have H414 and 4350 and Retumbo and H1000, and I've got probably 60 pounds of different powder sitting here. It's just, that's what I'm shooting. So if anybody else was wondering, it's not just because those are the only 2 powders I shoot. I actually have a lot of different powders for a lot of different applications. I just don't have room for everything up here. But I shoot what works for me. So anyways, I don't want to get into that, but yes, I have other powders. So anyways, okay, so this is set up, and so I think we're good to go here now. I was hoping to get the case hopper set up, but unfortunately right now all I have is the pistol one.
UPS, hurry up, I gotta get this stuff now! Hurry, I want it now! I want it now!
And so I need to get, well, I actually have it on order. Thank you to the Patreons out there who have donated to the channel. You made that possible, and I really, really appreciate that. So I've got the rifle case slide coming. It'll be here, I suspect, on Friday. At least that's what UPS says. So it's coming from Midway. They're usually pretty good about shipping and time frames. Hopefully we'll get that here on Friday. We'll finish this up with the case hopper, and we'll be good to go. The next video, I'm going to cut this one off here. The next video, we're going to set up the powder hopper and show you guys how to dial that in on this. And so, by the way, anytime, well, not anytime, but most times if I can find links to this stuff, especially an affiliate link, because they give me a few cents for every dollar you guys spend. If you use the links, it doesn't cost anything extra, but it does help support the channel. So I'll drop links to the press, to the dies, to all the stuff that we're using here. So if I can find those links, and if of course, there's always Midway, and they're Midway rocks. Amazon too. Amazon's pretty darn good, but I usually price check both places, because usually Amazon's pretty darn good, but there's several things that Midway beats, so, and price wise. Okay folks, I guess that's enough for tonight. Well, I might just go ahead and shoot the other video on the powder hopper and get that out, but I want to kind of break this up, because I know I don't want to try not to make these too long, because I know I can just ramble and talk and it gets boring. So anyways, hey, thanks for watching. Thanks to the folks out there who have donated to the Patreon. Extra shout out to you guys. You have made a lot of this possible, and I really, truly appreciate that. It actually means a lot, and it's going a long ways. I'm trying to put everything that you guys have donated to good use, and so, and a shout out to West Desert Shooter once again. He's got a up-and-coming channel here. It's really starting to grow, and he's a good dude, real good dude. Social aggressive too. I really, really enjoy watching Kyle's stuff. So, anyways, enough of me rambling. Here I go making the video longer. But we'll see you soon, guys. Thanks a lot.